Wait. Hi, welcome to the Taco Cast. I'm Crystal,
I'm Will.
and you're our audience on this lovely Sunday. I hope you're having a lovely Sunday. We're having a lovely Sunday, and I hope you are as well. So today, we were going to go over some stuff regarding a recent inoculation that people could be getting, but apparently certain accounts are getting flagged if that's the majority of your content. So what Will and I are going to do is we are going to discuss books that have influenced us throughout our lives. And at the end of that, we're going to be giving a little bit of information on the recent CDC guidelines for people who have received 2 vaccinations that shall not be mentioned.
Sounds good.
All right.
So let's start with you. All right, name a book tell us about a book that you have read that has influenced your life in either positive or negative way.
It's interesting that you say positive or negative because a lot of people, when they think of books that have influenced them, they only think of something that has brought them joy or changed them for the positive. But books can have a negative impact on people too. I can actually tell you about a book that I didn't read that had a negative impact on me.
Okay, go ahead. Let's start with that.
So, as you're aware, you may not be aware, I had an advanced reading level in grade school. Tested it at college level midway through grade school, and so my parents, my mother and my stepdad, adopted the idea that since I was able to read at that level, that they would not censor my reading choices for me. They would allow me to read what I wanted. And so I had borrowed one of my stepfather's books. It was called Armor. And I was maybe...
You know who wrote it?
I don't remember who wrote it.
Okay.
I remember the title, and I remember the first couple of pages, which starts out where you learn that I'm guessing it was the main character, the character that you were following at the time, stole the blueprints for this super armor that he's been credited for, and you know there's going to be a build-up, there's going to be some intrigue, blah, 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 it's going to be great, right? Also, a guy was murdered. Right in that
first couple pages?
Yeah, like the opening.
Get right to it.
Yeah, just like, so I'm like, maybe I don't even think I finished the first chapter, right? And I take it to school with me because there's reading hour in school, and I'm gonna read this book. And my teacher took it from me and refused to give it back, and because he said it was inappropriate for me to be reading, and I lost my mind because in my mind it wasn't my book, it was my stepdad's book. And the teacher said he wasn't going to give it back to me at all. And so I was what, 4th or 5th grade? And I was absolutely traumatized. Not because I wasn't, but because my stepfather trusted me with this book, and now I wasn't going to give it back to him. That just, like, it was devastating to me as a kid. Like, I started hiding stuff that I brought to school then. Like, if I brought stuff from home, I'd, like, stuff it in my bag, or, like, I wouldn't take it out. I was like a squirrel after that. No one can see.
So why didn't you ever finish reading the book?
Childhood trauma.
The trauma of having the book taken away from you. But I'm guessing you eventually got it back.
Yeah, I think Mom eventually did get it back because when it comes to unloading on somebody, my mom is an expert.
So, okay. Let's see. I'll think of one book that influenced me either in a positive or negative way. Joy of Cooking.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I found not only the book interesting, but the style, the methodology behind it. She goes into great detail to explain why you're adding certain things to recipes and it's a great book. But it definitely influenced me to want to learn more about different styles of cooking, and I still love I eat food every day.
I eat food every day as well.
Yeah.
As you can tell.
So another book that you've read that you enjoy.
Or
hated or influenced you in one way or another.
Brian Lumley's House of Doors.
I don't think I've ever read that one.
The book itself was good. Lumley is a good author. He's usually a sci-fi slash horror author. Sometimes high fantasy. Lumley likes to play fast and loose with the genres. He said, "I got a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and let's go." Um, and I think you also know that he did some work in the Lovecraftian universe,
Hmm.
Ship of Dreams, stuff like that. House of Doors was kind of a sci-fi book, and it was interesting in the concept of it was a character study kind of, and it was interesting to me from a reader because it was one of the first times that I had read something like that where I don't know if you're familiar with the movie. What is it? The Cube, I think, where you got like those. You get like
Been a long time since I've seen it.
4 or 5 people, and they're dumped into this place, and every environment is new, and they have to survive it, and da 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 da. And it's how do people react, in these circumstances, kind of thing. House of Doors was like that, but it was the first time I'd encountered that kind of scenario as a reader, and it was interesting to me, basically putting your characters through the paces and what do you do in literal hell? What do you do here? What do you do here? Um, I felt that the resolution to the book was not. I don't want to say that it didn't. I don't want to say that the resolution was disingenuous because the resolution to the book fit with the overall theme, but the resolution felt it felt a little too easy. The book itself was great, and I loved the concept, and I loved reading it, and the idea of these multidimensional spaces, and blah 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 blah, and that was great. Um, but then the resolution of the story was basically the aliens that created the whole thing are like, "Oh, you have survived the trial that the bad guy from our species set up for you, and as your gift, we've cured you of your debilitating disease that was going to murder you. And have a nice day, see you." And like took off, and you're like, just like, what was it? Well, that's the end. So, but it was good. I liked it was to me, and maybe other stories have done the same concept earlier, but it was the first time I had encountered that style, that characterization, and I liked it. So, and it opened it opened me as a reader and a writer to newer possibilities that I hadn't seen before, hadn't encountered before. And I was also disappointed in the ending, even though it made sense. And that was also a positive because it got me thinking about, well, this ending works with the story. Why don't I like it as a reader? And I think that those questions for somebody who writes are good because when you think about why you didn't like something is just as important as thinking about why you did like something.
Okay. Another book that influenced me in a positive way would that I really enjoyed was Mary Higgins Clark's "Loves Music, Loves to Dance."
Oh,
I absolutely loved that book, um, and I we now have several copies of it in the house. I have bought one of it, just about every variation of the book over the years. Um, I, I really enjoyed that, reading that book, and the movie, not so much. Great acting, but then not as much. Well, I don't know what you call it a movie. It was made for TV version of it, but still, movie. But Mary Higgins Clark loves music, loves to dance. I thoroughly enjoyed the book. So, and a lot of times though, when books are made into movies, yeah, they're kind of
you,
disappointing.
you lose something in translation, especially older movies that were adaptations. I think The Shining is a perfect example. When they first did The Shining as a movie, they did not have the technology to do a lot of the elements that were in the book. And when they did the remake of the movie,
With the Wings Boy,
they were able to make it much more true to the original material.
yeah, I didn't like it. I like the movie version. Of the first Shining, I didn't like the second one with the guy that the actor who was on Wings.
I thought they were both good. I mean, let's be honest. I The first Shining was a classic,
Yeah.
but you know.
So it's another book that affected you, positive or negatively.
Watership Down. I read that when I was in the 5th grade, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And
I didn't read it until I was in high school.
I'm gonna be honest. I picked the book because I saw the rabbit on the title, and I thought it was just gonna be a book about bunnies. I was super excited for that.
Wow. How many pages did you get in before you were so extremely depressed?
It was a really depressing read, but it also had a lot of hope to it, and that was another thing. At the time, when I read it, like I said, I was in the 5th grade, and I didn't have the vocabulary to explain uh, the realizations I was coming to when I was reading it accurately. But it was the first thing, thinking back on it, was that, and this was a realization I had later on. As a child, it has a lot of concepts that are difficult to think about even as an adult. As a child, it was a little bit overwhelming, legitimately, and especially when you thought you were just going to be reading a story about bunnies. But as an adult, and thinking back on it, and you realize that these difficult concepts that the book was going over, um, using anthropomorph- anthropomorphized animals, thy can make the English, was a good pick because it allows any reader to identify with the characters. You can. Sometimes when you're writing a book and you're writing about people, uh, readers who don't identify with your characters can't always necessarily immerse themselves in the story or empathize with what your character's going through. When you use something that doesn't reflect the human experience, then it levels that playing field. Now all of your readers have the exact same amount of experience to bring to the character. As a kid, I was kind of cresting the surface of that realization reading it, but as going back as an adult, I'm like, yeah, any person reading this brings the same human experience to it, and we're not adding or excluding anything based on our experience as a unique human.
Now, the side question to this is: have you ever gone back and reread something that you read as either a teenager or as a child, and then read it again as an adult?
I don't think I have.
You'd be surprised, how something that you read as a teenager, um, and if you read it as an adult, how your life, experiences will mold that, and you'll see, and you'll get different experiences from the same work. Um, of Mice and Men, was a book that I read. I was forced to, obviously, in school. You must read this book. You must do a report on it for English.
You mean you were forced to? I read it by choice.
Well, yeah, I didn't, but I wasn't reading that kind of work. I enjoyed John Steinbeck, and um, some other. I wouldn't say I wasn't maybe more of a mainstream, author reader. I read a lot of stuff that was, like Fahrenheit 451. Absolutely loved the book.
It was an amazing book.
I mean, but I was reading stuff like that. I wasn't reading about someone who kept a pet mouse in his pocket. That just didn't really, of Mice and Men. I just wasn't really into that. But when I went back and reread like The Death of the Salesman and and Mice and Men as an adult, I got a completely different take on the literature. That was that what maybe it was my life experiences, and maybe it was more that here I am as an adult rereading it, and I could picture it, and then I could form different thoughts and and understand and compassionate for the people in the actual book. Piece of hair floating in the air there. Sorry. But yeah, so what I think another book that I read that I really enjoyed. Um, I'm gonna have to go with the original Psycho, the very first book in the Psycho. Um, love the movie, the black and white version that was done by Alfred Hitchcock. But so I would put those two, on equal ground.
Anthony Perkins was an amazing actor.
Yeah. Unfortunately, got typecast as a psycho.
Yeah.
The rest of his life. But
It makes it hard.
I mean, but he was. Could you imagine anybody else in that role?
No, but maybe that's part of because he got typecast as Psycho. It's just like no one's as crazy as Anthony Perkins.
Right? But wow. All right. So, any other books that had a positive or negative effect on your life? Shaped you, molded you?
Mm,
Joy of Sex? Nothing?
no, I don't read that.
Why not? It's a great book. It's on the coffee table right now.
I know, but I've never read it. It was in that collection of books my mom gave us. God, I've consumed a lot of print material.
As have I. I would even.
And it's different books affect you for different reasons. Past Due by William Lashner. I bought that, I think, in the West Richland Library because they had it on sale or something like that.
Friends of Library Sale?
Yeah. And I typically avoid lawyer books because they're dull as shit. But that was good. It was a really, really good read. I loved Lashner's ability to make you simultaneously like and loathe the character he's writing.
Yeah.
This dude was a dick. Like, you're reading the book, and I'm like halfway through, and I was like, I want good things to happen for him, but also he's kind of a twat,
That was one of the things that I missed the most about when I had my bookstore. Is I always had something to read. I mean,
well, that is the benefit of the internet. There is a
I don't read a lot on the internet. I know you do. You follow books and read chapters of books that are in the works.
Oh, I hate serial novels. I read them, but I hate them because I want to know what's happened and I don't want to wait for the next one to come out. I hate them. The Green Mile came out as a serial novel originally.
Did it?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah. The Green Mile was originally a serial novel. My mom and I were reading it as each installment came out, and I got progressively more irritated because I wanted to know what happened next.
Beautiful Mind was another book that I read that I really enjoyed. And I started reading. Okay, I can't remember the name of the book now. It's in the house there that I just bought. I can't remember. I'm literally, we just got it, and now I can't remember the name of it.
Lovecraft Country?
Huh?
Lovecraft
No, it's on
Country?
fractal geometry.
Oh.
I can't remember the name of the book now, but it's my mind. Dementia setting in.
Honey, it has settled in.
I'm having one of those senior days.
It's been a week.
Yeah. So, all right. Want to wrap it up there? Well, we have to answer viewer question first.
Okay, so somebody had submitted a question to Will.
Do you have to wear a mask after getting your COVID shots?
So, we'll have some links in the description. There we go. We'll have some links in the description for you to click from the CDC. You are considered fully vaccinated after you've received your second of the 2-dose vaccines, or 2 weeks after the second of your 2-dose vaccines, or 2 weeks after you've received your first dose vaccine. They have relaxed the recommendations for people who are fully vaccinated. They are saying that you do not have to wear a mask if you are around other people who are fully vaccinated, and you can visit one household if those people have not been vaccinated.
Don't be a dick about it either. I purposely didn't answer the question because obviously I'm not a doctor, and I knew that she would have the information and the links to it. But at the same time, though, I saw a couple of comments that came in after the stream, well, in the stream and then after the stream itself in the comment section, where people are like, "Yeah, I'll get the COVID shot, and then and I can stop wearing the mask." And going, and they were speaking of going into businesses. If a business still has a mask, you know, what do they call it, a sign,
Yeah, a mask
that says
requirement.
that you must mask up to go into the establishment, you still have to do it. Yeah, maybe it won't be, detrimental to your health, but, or you won't be, harmful to other people. But, at the same time, if they require a mask, you wear a mask. If the state says, you need to wear a mask, wear a mask. So,
Yeah, and I don't think. So as more of the population gets vaccinated, obviously these rules will be relaxed across the country. Yes, if a business asks you to mask when you go in, please do so. And the reason for that, from my point of view, and this may be different for everybody, but from my point of view, the reason to do that is because retail workers have other stuff to do rather than bother people who aren't wearing masks. Come on, they're busy. They got to restock shelves. They got to help people. They got to answer phone calls. And having been on the other end of retail phone calls, they're all stupid, but you got to take them anyways. And every once in a while there's one that's not stupid and you want to be there for the not stupid person. And if you got to deal with somebody who's making a big fuss about not wearing a mask when they go in to get their freaking arrangement of dried flowers, it's taken away from the other stuff you got to do. Retail workers put up with a lot of crap and don't get hardly any recognition. Let's not make their lives harder. If you've got problems with the mask mandates in your county or state, that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Make your voice heard. Get a hold of your governor. Get a hold of your mayor. Talk to your city councilor. Talk to your city council. Make your voice heard, but don't take it out on retail workers. They don't deserve that.
you can talk to your counselor as well.
Yes, you can also talk to your counselor, but
You might need
politically.
a counselor if you think that mask mandates are not going to help.
So, to recap, we've given you a list of books that you can enjoy and how they affected us positively or negatively. I don't really have any review for the first one, Armor, because I never finished reading it because as a child I was traumatized. So I'm just going to steal it. My stepdad was going to get sad.
I'm gonna go buy it for you right now.
Oh, thank you. I
Go
might
log
read
on
it.
to Amazon and buy it.
And at the end, some updated CDC recommendations and the request that you please don't be a jerk to retail workers. They have enough on their plate. I hope everybody has a lovely Sunday, and we will see you next week.
Bye.